Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more waterfowl patterning. And we've got another combination that we haven't tried out here today, and one that I'm pretty curious to see how it performs. It might do pretty decent, or it might really not look all that amazing at the same time. I really don't know. But for the load we've got out here today to test, I've got some of these, the Kent Fasteel 2.0 rounds. These are a 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 1 1/16 ounce of steel BB. And we've tested these once before out of the 1187, and I think they weren't too terrible. I think they were just kind of middle of the road. So depending on how well they work with this setup, we might see some decent results here. And here's what these shells look like. Definitely nothing too special, pretty ordinary. And as you can see over here on the side, they do say 1550 feet per second. I don't think we saw that out of our last test, but that is what they're claiming. But I don't believe these are any kind of sealed shell. Doesn't appear to have anything right there as far as, nail polish or hot glue or anything like that. So if they're not sealed, they do have a potential to get some water in them if you drop them. And as for the setup we've got out here today, I brought out my Mossberg 835 Ulti-Mag here. And to start out with testing these today, I have the stock modified choke in the gun. Now yes, a modified choke for an 835 is quite a bit less constriction than a modified in a normal 12 gauge, since these are overboard to a 10 gauge barrel size. But for today's test, we're going to start off with the modified for this gun, and we can go from there depending on what we see. Now statistically speaking, that 835 has not done anything super amazing with larger shot sizes like BB or buckshot or anything like that. So I'm really curious to see how it performs with a steel BB load, since I don't think we've tested a steel BB load through that 835 yet. But as for the test, we're going to do it the same as we usually do. I have the duck target down there at 40 yards. I also have the chronograph, so we'll be able to see what kind of speed we're running and how close it is to the box claim. So let's get you guys a view of this duck target and see what these Kent Fasteel BB loads can do through the 835. Okay, so that shell gave us 1466 through the chrono. Definitely not the 1550 that the box was claiming, but 1466 is still above that 1400 threshold that I like to see in a waterfowl load, and it's plenty enough to carry energy down there with a load of BBs like this as well. So even though it's not what the box is claiming, it's not terrible either. But how did they actually shoot down at 40 yards? Let's go take a look and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard target, and this is what we got. Now, first off, I think we would have had a duck that would have came crashing down. I mean, there is one right through the chest there and one that went through the wing. Now, would it have clipped feathers or bone? I don't really know, but I guess you could say that's 2 hits on the duck. But clearly here, backing up and looking at the whole thing, this is less than impressive to say the least. Now, we do have to take into account both that this is a load of BBs, so there's going to be less pellets in it than a load of 2s or 4s. Plus, that 835 is an overboard shotgun, so the modified choke in that is quite a bit more open than a modified in a normal 12 gauge. So both of those factors, I'm sure, played into why we see this pattern the way it looks right now. Now, I guess you could say that the pattern that we do have is relatively even. I mean, the big gaps and voids through the whole pattern are the same size throughout the whole pattern, if that makes any sense. But clearly, I wouldn't use this particular combination, that's for sure. Now, do I think we should test it through a tighter choke in that 835? Yeah, I think it definitely deserves it. I think we can get a little bit better performance out of it with a tighter constriction choke. But as for this combination right here, I'm not all that impressed. But at least with seeing how, I guess, quote unquote, even it is, as for the spread, we might have potential with a tighter choke to get a somewhat even and a little bit more condensed pattern down here. So I guess there's a chance, but this combination, definitely less than impressive. Okay, and here's the wad out of that shell, and as you can see, not really anything too impressive looking or too weird to see, really. Nothing stuck down in there. You can see the dimples from where the BBs were, but no rips or tears, no weird opening or anything like that I would be concerned with. It's all relatively even looking, so I just think this performance is a case of an overboard shotgun with a relatively open constriction choke and a load of BBs that has far less pellets than a load of 2s or 4s would. So I think we should try this through a tighter choke and see what happens. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance there? I was hoping for a little bit better, but I'm not entirely surprised either. Now, I think there might be hope because what we do see here, although it's not a super impressive pattern, it's at least a relatively even spread of the pellets on the paper. So we might have a chance of getting a pretty decent looking pattern with a tighter constriction choke. But with that being said, leave your thoughts in the comments about it. Did you expect it to look like that? Were you hoping for a little bit better? And what constriction choke out of this 835 do you think might perform the best with these shells? But with that being said, I've got another test to film out here today for you guys, so I'm going to jump back to it. We do have a channel Instagram as well as a mailbox where you can send things to the channel. If you're interested in that information, it will be in the description for you. But I'm going to jump back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.